What's up,
Whoa.
everybody? Welcome to another episode of Your Cousins Are Critics, and this is episode 9. So today we are talking about the 1999 movie comedy, directed by Alexander Payne, and that is Election.
That's right, we're getting political, dude.
I'm just
Political.
gonna cover your face the whole time.
No,
You'll have Reese Witherspoon's face.
mm, no offense, but no thank you.
Oh, at least you're pretty.
That's true. Her pouty face in this movie? It's not like that. It was weird.
This movie, of course, stars Reese Witherspoon and Matthew Broderick,
Hmm.
and I'll name two others too. Might need to help me with it. Chris
Hmm.
Klein,
Hmm.
Chris Klein, and Jessica Campbell.
Was that who? Was that
Campbell.
who played Tammy?
Yes, and Chris Klein is Paul.
Paul?
Yeah. Which Chris Klein I actually knew from. He's in American Pie as well. So
That makes sense. I can see that.
yeah. so so this is a comedy. This is a very weird, very quirky, I guess is a word.
Yeah.
Comedy. That I watched for the very. This was my second time. This was his first. Um, I watched this for the Alexander Payne ranking, which, by the way, you can check out on YouTube right now. It came out just last Wednesday, so as well as we're recording, it hasn't yet. But as you're watching right now, it has
In the
it's on.
futures.
I watched it for the first time for that ranking. Loved it, and I ranked it. I'll go ahead and say it. Spoilers for that ranking, but I ranked that at number two, followed by Sideways, which is my favorite Alexander Payne film, and we
Hmm.
might need to do that one sometime.
Okay, okay,
I think
okay.
I think you might like that one too. I mean, it's different from this one, but yeah.
Still good stuff.
Oh yeah. And also, this was also my number one for the list of movies I watched for the first time in February. I
Hmm.
ranked this at number one. This
Hmm.
was my favorite from that month. Uh, and like I said, this is this guy's first time. I guess you want to talk about what's about first, and then share your opinions of it. But I
Sure.
think that's what we usually do. So
Yeah.
take it away, okay?
Okay, so
Try to do the best you can because it's kind of all over the
it
place.
is,
This
yeah.
movie.
I think
So yeah.
at least in style, I think I'll start with describing kind of what it felt like to me. It's
Mm,
like
okay.
somewhere in between American Beauty and Heather's. Like it seemed like it was
Interesting.
kind of shot.
Interesting.
It seemed like it was kind of shot like both
I
those
didn't.
movies and
I
kind
can
of
see
had,
Heather's for sure.
yeah, some of the weirder angles and stuff. It kind of made me think of Requiem for a Dream too. Like it
Oh
just it,
yeah.
I don't think it I don't know if there's any correlation. It just happened in my brain.
The only movie that it kind of reminded me of at that time when I first saw it was actually Rushmore,
Oh yeah,
because
yeah, I see
just
that.
in terms of like the comedy style and
Yeah.
whatnot, just the quirky comedy, because it feels, at least to me, it kind of feels a little like early Wes Anderson humor in
Yeah,
some
I
ways.
could see that.
But anyways, go ahead.
So the story follows Jim McAllister. He's a okay. Well,
Played by
okay.
Matthew Broderick.
Yes,
Broderick.
the story follows, I guess, like a handful of people
Yeah, but
who are,
I think mostly him
yeah, for
though.
sure. Um, but he's a good teacher. He's dedicated, and he kind of sees teaching as like a moral virtue. Like he sees himself as a good person, and he sees his point of view as the reason why he's a good person. Like he's getting people ready for life, and he says all the same bullshit every teacher says about um, preparing students for the future and stuff, which is like true, but also like in this movie you can tell that he's kind of pretentious a little bit. But anyway, he's uh, middle aged. He's got a wife. They haven't been able to have kids. They're kind of it's kind of his life's stagnant. a little bit. He's still being a good person like everybody you see on the street, but his shit's kind of stagnant. And then uh the few other characters come in where this movie's about an election, a student body election, who's going to be student body president.
Hmm.
And there's Goody Two Shoes, played by Reese Witherspoon. I forgot her name.
Tracy Flick.
Tracy Flick, yeah. And she's like the most annoying person on the planet. And
I actually disagree, but we'll talk about
okay,
that.
okay. So she's just really focused on herself and getting herself into everything she wants. Well, basically everything her mom wants. A good college, good job, good everything, the perfect life and shit like that. And so she's automatically running for student body president, and there's no one competing with her, so she's gonna win. Um,
At
at
first.
first, now this movie has a lot of like kind of twists and turns, but the earliest one is where we find out that Jim's coworker and friend, Dave,
Dave,
right?
I forgot his last name, but yeah,
Dave, who is like, got to be in his 40s, had he cheated on his wife.
maybe 30s,
He looked
maybe
old.
late
He looked old.
30s.
Yeah, maybe late 30s. But he cheated on his wife with Tracy. Okay, so he's having sex with a minor and taking advantage of a minor, and claims he's in love. They're in love. Okay. So already this shit we find out this backstory where, Dave gets divorced and gets fired and leaves. So he's in another state. Um and uh the problem is that Jim is sort of the civics guy at this school. He's like he teaches government, he teaches all that bullshit. So he's intertwined with the student body shit. And he saw how Tracy kind of flirted with him at his car, and it made him really uncomfortable. So it was then and there where he decided he needed to get some competition. Oh
Try,
wait,
try, I'm just saying, try to remind me about that scene later on because I do want to talk about that scene. So
okay,
I I almost forgot about it now.
gotcha.
I'll try to remember myself.
So he's like, okay, well, we need to get some fucking competition, and so he talks to this jock who's a really nice guy. He's like a himbo named Paul, and he's the sweetest guy in the whole movie. But Paul broke his leg.
Chris Klein
Yeah,
plays
he
him.
broke his leg skiing, and so he can't play football anymore. And so he's kind of depressed and stuff, and kind of confused about what he wants to do with his life. But Jim tells him, you know, you should run for a student body president. You're popular, you're a born leader, shit like that. And he decides he's gonna run, but he really gets manipulated into doing this by Jim. This wasn't,
Yeah.
Jim didn't think this was a good idea for anything other than his own sake. And so he starts to run. This freaks Tracy out. She's fucking pissed off. She's like, "Oh, I got fucking competition." She's so mad because she just wants to win because that's what, her mom tells her
Yeah,
to do.
and also she thinks that he's gonna beat her because he's more popular. Former
Mm,
football player, everyone likes him.
handsome, nice guy. That's a bad combo, okay? And then we find out um I think maybe a scene or two after this, Paul goes home to his big house.
Fucking
His family's
mansion.
really rich. It's like crazy.
I don't know how they're rich. Did they say about like what the
I
parents did?
forgot what they said the dad did, but he's like, yeah. I think they both do something.
Yeah, I didn't
Um,
catch that.
but anyway, they're really rich, and Paul gets back to his house, and it shows this. It shows these two girls kissing on a bed at his house. One girl's not into it. The other one is like saying like, "Hey, I love you" and stuff. The other one's kind of like breaking away from the kiss and stuff. We find out this is Paul's adopted sister is one of the girls, the one who's in love with the other,
named
and
Tammy.
named Tammy. Yeah.
She's Jessica Campbell
Hmm.
plays her.
And then
Campbell or something.
yeah, and then what's the other girl's name? Lisa.
Lisa. Yeah,
Lisa's the other girl,
I don't know who plays her, but yeah.
and there's kind of a conflict there. Lisa's not as into the whole thing as Tammy is, and Paul kind
She
of
just wanted to experiment with it, but she's not into it. So
yeah, Paul interrupted their kind of conversation, and then Lisa stormed out, and then Tammy stormed out, and that's when Lisa kind of broke up the situation that they had,
mm.
and they stopped being friends, and Lisa immediately turned on Tammy and started dating Tammy's brother, Paul, and was like that the only reason why she got with Paul was to, I don't know, I guess get Tammy off of her back.
Yeah, and also he's running for president too, so it's kind of like a gold digger kind of thing
Could have been.
almost.
I don't. I honestly don't think so. I think it was mainly
Yeah, probably.
just to spite um just to spite Tammy because Tammy was starting to really annoy Lisa.
Yeah.
Um, but then so there's this conflict there where Tammy's like, okay, well I'm gonna fucking throw a wrench in the whole situation, and she's like a candidate as well, and she shows up as like this anti-establishment, like y'all don't give a fuck about this shit, like vote for me or don't, I don't give a shit. And that's what she says at the speech. They have like a little, presidential. They don't have a debate or anything. It's just a speech where they the three of them go up one by one and kind of say their piece on what they're gonna do or what their ideology is and shit. And Tammy's just kind of like I don't know, your typical politician, kind of walking up there, has really had planned it out. And then Paul actually seems like a high school kid. Like he whips out a just a handwritten note and reads it, but like does not breathe.
Yeah.
He doesn't breathe in between the
Doesn't even
sentences.
look
Yeah,
either. He's just reading down.
he's just going for it. It really looked like a high school kid. And then uh, Tammy just walked up there and just said what she had to say and was like, this is all bullshit. I'm tired of this. Like, I know you're tired of this too. So everyone in the crowd loved Tammy's speech.
They were like booing and hissing at her whenever she first got up on
Yeah.
stage, but then when she said that shit, they loved her.
They were like, all right.
Yeah,
And she gets suspended
yeah.
for her anti-establishment speech because the principals couldn't have it. And yeah, so she can't even be at school for like the next 3 days. Um, and we kind of between then and I would say like the conflict or the climax of the movie, we start seeing um more about our characters. Like Jim goes into he starts the each of these characters that I just described, like they each narrate the movie in their own
Yeah,
sections.
Jim, Tracy, Paul, and Tammy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And in one of Jim's sections, he talks about how him and his wife have always wanted a kid, but they've tried, but it hasn't worked out. And they were trying. There was a sex scene in this movie where they were trying, and he was started fantasizing about a few people, and it was really weirded him out because it didn't seem like it was something his mind really chose to fantasize about. It seemed like it just kind of came out of nowhere
Did we say
at
who
him.
those people were? There were two.
Oh yeah, yeah. One was Tracy.
Well, I was going to save her for
Oh
last,
yeah, well,
but
one was Tracy, and the other one was I forgot her name.
Linda.
Linda. Okay.
First one was Linda, then it was Tracy.
Yes.
Which I kind of I don't know. We'll talk about that later, but that might be one issue with the movie that I have, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah,
And
that scene there.
yeah, Linda is Dave's ex-wife. So the
Yes.
dude who had an affair with
And they had a kid too.
yeah, the dude who just molested high schooler. It was
I'm
his
sorry, YouTube, for those words.
it was his ex-wife, and
Who
and
who they were friends with,
mhm,
Jim and his wife. I forgot his wife's name.
I don't know, I don't remember, but
Uh, look.
so Jim, yeah, Jim's got a crush on Linda. She's an attractive
Oh, okay,
woman,
just Diane.
Diane, and so he has these fantasies while he's having sex with his wife, and it's like you can kind of tell like his brain is like he's just a sad dude. So his brain's just doing crazy shit and messing with him. And so yeah, we start to learn that through this his character of being like this good, honest, moral person. It's a little bit more complicated than that. And then we see Tammy staying after school, or not Tammy, Tracy's staying after school, and one of her posters is like one of the edges is like falling down. It won't stay taped to the wall,
Mm-hmm.
and so she's trying to get it to stay. She hops on top of a trash can she flipped over, and is trying to keep it up there. And she falls and she pulls like half of it down with her. It rips, and that really pisses her off. And so she rips the rest of her own poster down, and then she looks to the you know her right or whatever, and she sees a beautiful photo of Paul and his like his political posters.
What did it? Wait, I don't know if it said that, but one of his slogans said "politician."
Yeah, it was Paul Letition. It was so funny. And so she goes ballistic and she rips down every Paul poster there in the school, and she uh, throws it away. But she goes to this like cement factory, I guess in between the school and her
Oh,
house or something.
oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, and this is where Tammy would hang out, to like think and shit. So Paul's
And
sister,
smoke.
yeah, Paul's sister would go smoke at the sort of parking lot at like the cement factory, and she saw her throw Paul's posters away, and for some reason Tammy gathered them for herself. I don't know why, but she did, and so at this point, uh, the principals find out about the posters getting ripped down, all these things, and they ask Jim, who's kind of starting to lose like his reality and lose his morality and shit. They ask him to handle all these things, um, and to make sure everything's all right. And so he interrogates Tracy, and he thinks it's Tracy. At this point, he does not like Tracy because she's annoying. Because she is like just wanting to be. She's following her dreams like too hard. She's
Mm-hmm.
following her dreams with disregard for everyone else. She thinks she's the most important person in the room. Things like that. And so he's really annoyed by her, and he's right. He knows it's her, but he's got no proof. And then he calls in Tammy to interrogate her, and Tammy confesses for some reason. She confesses to the whole situation, and she has the posters in her bag to prove it. And so she gets in trouble for it, and it's at this point where she gets expelled. Like she can't come back,
Yeah.
um, which is great for her because she ends up getting transferred to a Catholic girls' school, which she was watching um, the girls play soccer a few scenes before, where you know they're all like covered in mud and stuff. So she was like just like watching. She was having a good time watching it, and so she's going to that school, and so that takes out one person in this race, this presidential race. So it's just down to the two, Paul and Tracy. Now, somewhere in the middle of the movie, Jim makes a pass at Linda. And he's been spending more time with Linda because she needs help around the house and stuff. She needs a man in the house or
Make a
whatever.
pass.
Yeah, he suggested that they go to that motel, like flirting
Okay.
and shit.
Yeah.
So he um after they take her car to the shop and he drives her to the mall and she gets like, buys makeup and stuff like this. They drive past this motel and he mentions like they're just having a good conversation. He's like, well, maybe we should get a room. And this makes Linda uncomfortable and she's like, you know, that's not funny and stuff. And she it's really like you can tell how uncomfortable it makes her. Um, but later on she changes her mind. He's at her house before school one morning because her drain is clogged and he helps her out. He gets the pile of hair out of her drain and like it was nasty. And then
Shout out to PB's Big Adventure.
she then she gives him a hug and like whispers in
I
his
like
ear.
school, Billy. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Uh, she whispers in his ear something, and they start making out, and presumably they have sex. It doesn't really show. I mean, he's on top of her, but they're fully clothed and shit and stuff. So who knows what happens? I'm sure they had sex though. But anyway, um, so he's on top of the world. He's having, but his mind's racing. He's got a wife and stuff. He just cheated on his wife, but he has to go to work anyway. He works at the school, and it's election day.
It wasn't an election
Oh
day
yeah, yeah,
yet.
yeah.
I'm not
It was like
sure.
the day before, I
Maybe.
guess. And
Yeah, that's probably good.
it was the yeah, it was like the day before. And so he's kind of just running through the day, but and he was really excited because they're supposed to go to a hotel after. Like at 3:30 he was supposed to
Yeah.
be at a
He
hotel.
actually like in the middle of class, like while these kids are doing a test or something, he actually goes and buys some stuff and takes it to that hotel
Yeah,
room.
yeah, he gets really prepared.
Yeah.
And he after school he goes to Linda's house and she's not there and he's like, really intense and like is like knocking on the door like yelling her name like Linda like really needing to see her and he goes into her backyard to see if she's back there and she's not and a bee lands on his eyelid and he slaps his eye and it causes the bee to sting his eyelid and so it gets all fucking swollen and
Yeah.
crazy and
Yeah.
this motherfucker goes back to the motel, like calls Linda, like kind of like begging her to show up and shit like that. And anyway, like time passes, it ends up being nighttime, still no show. So he goes home. Linda's there with his wife, admits the whole thing to his wife. His wife's crying. And so he just leaves. Like, he can't stay there. He said okay and left. And then he parked at Linda's house in her front yard, waiting for her to come back, and she never did. And so this motherfucker just has to go to school like that with a fucking bee sting,
Yeah.
unsure of what he's like homeless now basically. Um, and so he's pissed off.
he got he actually got that motel room back just to stay there for however long
Oh yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah,
He's like when he's at that motel, he's like, "What, the same room?" And he's like, "Yeah, I guess."
yeah, yeah. And he fucking goes back to school. The bee sting. Everyone's like, "What's up, man?" They're like asking him what's wrong and shit. And he's like being pissy with everyone. Like this is the first time he's like openly being rude to everyone,
Mhm.
you know. And it's election day. Everyone puts in their votes. Tracy votes for herself. Paul said he didn't think it felt right to vote for himself, so he voted for Tracy. Um, and so then, it's time to fucking count the votes. Meanwhile, um, Jim's been fucking calling Linda all day, like telling him he loves her and bullshit like this. And just like being a lunatic, to be honest with you. Um, and she is not answering the phone until she finally does, and basically says the same shit I did, where it's like, okay, you're being, absurd, or it was a mistake, and like you don't love me, like that's crazy. And so that pisses him off and makes him like sad and emotional and all that. And so it's time to count the votes. And he has to count the votes, but also the student council head, whatever, another a kid in the student body government
Yeah,
has to count it as
they
well.
counted first, and then
Yeah,
he did.
yeah. So the kid had to count it first, and then he had to count it. Now the kid found that it was a close race, but that Tracy had won by only one vote, and so he had to recount them. Uh, Meanwhile, Tracy comes up to the window, um, looks in there, and kind of signals to one kid in the room, like, "Hey, did I win?" And the kid was like, "Yeah, you won." And so she's freaking out, jumping in the hallway and shit, and going crazy. And Jim had the same result. She won by one vote. But then he looked at the window and saw her dancing there, and he couldn't take it. He was like, he saw this like girl, happy and all this shit, and so he just decided to throw away two votes and have Paul win. And so Paul won. Um, and then what? Like the day passes. They come back the next day, but and yeah, basically, Paul's happy. Tracy's broken down, feels terrible. But the next day, Jim comes into work and is called into the office immediately. And like five people are standing there, five or six. It's the principal.
Yeah, the council, Tracy and her mom, and the janitor,
Yeah.
who found. Well, should we say
Yeah.
go? Okay, found. I guess I'll say this. Found the two votes that Jim threw away
Mhm.
that made Tracy win, and and the janitor was the one that found them, and it was it was payback from an earlier scene that was
Yeah.
like early in the movie when Jim was like cleaning out the fridge in the teacher's lounge, and he like threw out, it was like a
Like a ramen
ramen
thing.
thing,
Yeah.
yeah, and like missed the trash can and hit the floor, and it showed the janitor. He's like, shit.
Yeah. The janitor's mad at him.
Yeah, and so that was payback, which I love that moment
Mhm.
too. It's great. Um, but yeah, um, yeah.
So
I didn't know what else to say.
so basically, the presidency had to be changed, and so Paul lost,
Yeah.
and um, Tracy won. And so Jim resigned quickly, and if he didn't resign, he would have been fired by the look of it. And this story got printed, really, where like this teacher,
Yeah, made news.
yeah, like faked the election. Um, he ruined it for this innocent young blonde white woman, this or white girl. And so it went like, it was in newspapers, it was on the news, it was sent through emails and shit, like what he said. And so his life, he's divorced, he doesn't have the house, he just has his car. This motherfucker decides to move to New York. and he becomes like an educator at a museum,
Yeah.
and he meets he's got a new girlfriend there, and they're really cute. Um, Paul, uh, he gets into the college that he wanted to go to. He's got friends. He throws
Oh
awesome
yeah.
parties. But he does think about like what if he would have won the
Yeah.
presidency and things like this.
Also, his girlfriend Lisa broke up
Yep.
with him after he lost,
Yep.
of course.
Yeah, and I mean there was no like Tammy wasn't even at the school to see him anymore, you know. So
Yeah.
like, what was the point in even dating him?
Yeah.
And
And Tammy, what happened to her? She got a girlfriend. I know that.
Tammy was smoking weed in Catholic school with this girl Jennifer, and they fell in love, and it was really
Oh,
sweet.
I don't even remember her name.
I that scene was the best scene in the whole movie. I was like, I could watch a whole. I just want a sequel with them. Like, I want a Catholic school sequel. That would have been awesome. What?
Well,
Is there a sequel?
no, no.
Oh,
But I mean, well, first of all, I mean it's about 20 years anyway, so there's
oh
no
yeah.
way they could. But shit, I'll go ahead and say this. Jessica, well, we still got the last scene to talk about, but
Oh yeah.
should we go ahead and say that, and then I'll say what I was going to
Sure.
say? Okay, go.
Um, and then what happened to Tracy? We're in this last scene where we're following Jim, and he makes this trip to a museum educators conference in Washington D.C. and he happens to see little Tracy walking with a Republican House representative from Nebraska, getting into a limo together. And she looks like a little bit older, like she's been maybe through college a little bit or something. Um,
Probably the same age as Reese Witherspoon was for
yeah,
this movie.
and but she's in politics like legit. She's hanging out with the House of representatives in Nebraska or from Nebraska at Washington D.C. So she's made it. She's made it, and um, this hurts Jim like extremely, and he wanted her to see him basically, but she didn't, and she hopped in the car and started to drive off, and he was like standing there like a fool. He's like, I have to do something, so he threw his Pepsi drink at the fucking car, hits the back of the window. The car stops immediately, and the driver comes out to
Hey, you
kick his ass.
asshole!
Yeah, and so Jim just runs off.
And I think that's how it ends,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, he just runs off.
Yeah,
He's like, woo, hobbles away like a wimp.
yeah,
And that's the movie.
yes.
And that was so hard to describe. There's so much bullshit that
You,
happened.
I think you did a pretty good job, actually.
I tried.
I mean,
I tried.
I think you said everything that was important.
I think I did too.
So
Pretty close.
yeah, that was pretty good. We're 30 minutes in,
I
but
know that's what I'm saying.
still, this might be a kind of a longer episode.
Could be.
But yeah, okay. So before we get into the opinions, I do want to say, like I was going to say just a minute ago, the actress who played Tammy, Jessica Campbell. First of all, I do want to say, make sure. Hold on, it's not telling me. Well, did you see something?
Yeah.
Okay, well, hold on for a second.
Oh,
Maybe, maybe not. I thought she was from Oklahoma, but
really?
it doesn't say.
Damn, we would have been best friends, dude.
Yeah, but she passed away in 2020 at the age of 38. She actually retired from acting in 2002. Um, but also, I do want to say this though about her, the actress. I knew her from only one other thing, and that was my favorite TV show of all time, Freaks and Geeks. She
Hey.
was, I think, only on 2 episodes, but she actually played Seth Rogen's girlfriend.
She looks like she'd be in that show.
Yeah, yeah, she was Seth Rogen's girlfriend
Fuck, man.
in 2 episodes of Freaks and Geeks.
Well, rest in peace. God damn, that
Yeah,
sucks. I saw it said she's only like 38.
yeah, she's 38.
Okay.
Let me see. I don't know if it was COVID because it was 2020.
Yeah.
It says flu-like symptoms, but yeah.
Well, damn. I mean,
So I mean, they're
who
not gonna make a
knows?
sequel with her.
That's fucked up.
Unless they actually replace her. But
Like I'll just dream about
so
that.
she was your favorite character.
Yeah, I think she had the most. I mean, I think they did characters pretty well,
Yeah.
but I just like I related to her more than any other character. I
Interesting.
thought she was fucking awesome,
Interesting. Yeah,
and
I liked her a lot
I'm so
too.
happy that she freaking had a cool experience, like cool high school experience, rather than just being stuck with a bunch of bullshit that she, you know, didn't want to didn't want to be around.
Yeah.
But damn, rest in peace, the real person who played her.
Yeah.
That's really sad.
Jessica
That's
Campbell.
fucked up.
Yeah. I thought she was from Oklahoma though. I thought she was like from Tulsa or something, but
Born in Tulsa.
I didn't. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're from Oklahoma, just in case you didn't know.
Come on, Okies.
But
That's right.
that's right. But yeah, yeah. Okay, so all right. I guess go ahead and ask you, Cade.
Mhm.
What overall? What did you think about this movie? What were your
I
thoughts?
thought this movie was cool in that um, I think it really set up.
Well, not overall, not like final thoughts, but
Oh
yes.
yeah, yeah.
I said overall thoughts,
I
but
think it really set up some good kind of thought provoking things for me at least. Because it kind of set up these characters really all of them as just kind of complicated.
mm,
Like Jim is the easiest example because he starts out the movie
hmm
and he presents himself as this sort of moral authority in this more than this ethical authority. Like there's this whole conversation about that shit. And he, you know, being appearing and being a good guy seems like really important to him, which is a good thing. But you know, human beings are complicated. We're never good or we're never just evil. We're always like a mixture or a complicated stew of all of that shit. And so he's busy making being a good person his whole personality that he's not aware of like the darkness inside of him and stuff and the possible things that could get him that got him into trouble in this movie and that like threw his life around. You know, like him kind of being attracted to Tracy even though he hates her, him you know, cheating on his wife with Linda, you know, these are things that a moral person would, you know, would not let happen, okay? But we're, you know, human beings are not perfect creatures. You know, so it's in his character is interesting because he tries to. I feel like he sells himself as this good guy, but he's
hmm
more complicated.
hmm
And then Tracy is a product of her mother, and her mother is just like, you know, trying to live through her daughter vicariously.
mm,
And basically, the whole reason why Tracy works hard as much as she does is to be what her mom wants her to be. That's the whole character.
yeah.
That's her whole character.
Okay, I will say I felt like they needed a little bit more with her mom because I didn't really catch that.
Yeah.
She was barely in the movie. Her mom
Well, I think like it was really in the dialogue about how she talked about her mom.
in the narration.
Yeah, because she was
Okay.
like basically saying that her mom like my mom tells me what she thinks I should do, you know, and stuff like that.
Oh,
And she's
okay.
basically just
I guess I
following what her
didn't
mom
really pay
thinks.
attention to
Yeah.
that part.
And then whenever the one scene where her mom talked was like basically like, well, sorry you lost the election, honey. Maybe if you would have done more posters or did the speech like how I told you to do it, maybe that would have helped. And so it's like, okay, it's just a it's just a mom who is, you know, an egotistical mother trying to live through her daughter. And so Tracy's
Okay.
kind of fucked up like that. She's got mommy issues.
Mm.
Um, and
So it's
then
her mom's fault.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the reason why she Tracy feels like she has to be perfect to live up to what her mom thinks she should be.
Mm.
And you know, I think Paul's the weirdest because he's dumb, but he's the nicest dude in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like morally, he he like respects everybody. And really like you can tell how much he loves his adopted sister Tammy. Like he has a conversation where like he didn't know why she was running against him in the election. he didn't know that Tammy was like, in love with Lisa, so he didn't know these things. And he was just like, I love you even though you're my adopted sister. Like, you're my sister, man.
I will
And
say I thought it was kind of weird that she was adopted because they kind of looked
yeah,
alike.
I don't even think they didn't really. I don't think they had to make her adopted, but they did.
Yeah,
Um,
at least make her look different having someone else. So, well, even though the actress was
um,
good.
but yeah, and like I mean, he was so nice. He didn't even vote for himself in the election because
Hmm.
he felt like it wasn't the right thing to do. He was just
Yeah.
like, I felt kind of weird. I don't think I'll do that. And he wished Tracy luck like on election day and shit like that. Like he's just a nice guy, but he's really simple. Like I didn't think there was really much bad you can say about him other than he was like kind of dumb. And then Tammy I think is the most I think well-rounded character if I will say.
Mm.
Like she's complicated, she wants love and stuff.
Hmm.
But she has a pretty strong sense of self. Um, Even though the way she talks about love is like, really kind of childish, like, oh, we'll be in love forever and things like this. You could tell she hasn't been through like a relationship yet. And but other than that, she has a super like a really strong sense of self. She doesn't play into like bullshit and things like that. And she does things her way. And I yeah, she's definitely my favorite character because I think I can relate to how she goes about things, stuff. So I think that's the best part of this movie, honestly, is um, those aspects of
Hmm.
like, what is morality? How moral are you really? Things
Yeah.
like this. You might think that you're a good person, but what does that really even mean? You know,
Yeah.
I think I so for that alone, I think this movie's a good movie. Um, I think it could have moved I think it could have been weirder because I felt like
Mm.
sometimes through the movie, like based on the shots, they were kind of making it kind of strange, like shit was tilted and stuff. And
Yeah.
I think it could have been weirder, or it could have been more of like a '90s, high school comedy. It could have been more of both, but it
Mm.
kind of it sits in a weird space in the middle. And I think it's fine. I think maybe if it was weirder, it would make me more excited.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I think it sits in a weird space and time because it kind of you said it came out the same year as American Beauty.
Yeah, 1999.
Yeah, and it's like it kind of it's sort of it seems pretty close to it, in my opinion. Like in
Mm.
terms of like, okay, here's this sad guy, you know, making decisions.
Yeah.
And it's definitely like, you know, the Matthew Broderick effect makes this a less like Matthew Broderick and Kevin Spacey, like there's a reason why the Matthew Broderick's in this movie and Kevin Spacey's in American Beauty, because this is like a much lighter movie. Like it
Right.
doesn't. It. I feel like there's a lot of talk about like mortality and life and death in American Beauty, but this one's more of like kind of a cartoonish suburban thing.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. Right? Yes, yes, that is my feelings.
But I guess you like the movie to pretty
Yes, I
much.
think it's a good movie.
Cool. Yeah. You know, I will say, kind of like when we watched last night Soho.
Hmm.
I liked, that movie. I liked it less than I did the first time. Now, this movie right here, I just slightly like it less than I did the first time. But that was, the first time watching it, I thought it was just very unique and like, in terms of filmmaking, even storytelling,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just in. Second time, I still really like this movie. I still love it. In fact, I didn't even change the rating. It's still the same rating as I originally gave this,
Hmm.
which I will of course reveal later at the end of this video. But I did notice a little bit of flaws going in, or at least maybe nitpicks. Just or I don't know. There were a little bit of stuff that I kind of felt like could have been done better or something. Or I don't know. I will say though, you actually did kind of answer. I think you did. I think you kind of solved maybe something that I did have a problem with. But when we were, yeah, the scene when when Jim is banging his wife and first was thinking about Linda and then thinking about Tracy, like I kind of thought that was a little odd that they did that. Well, I mean, of course it's odd,
Yeah.
but I mean like because later on in the movie he doesn't really. That was like the last, or I think like the only time really he, you know, thought about her. Like was like where it looked like he was attracted to her, and then it never brought it back. And I kind of noticed that in the first time watching it too. Uh, but I was yeah, and I was kind of thinking back on the first time. I was like, oh yeah, they never bring that back where it looked like he
Mm-hmm.
was attracted to her. But I guess you kind of said it earlier that like as the movie went on, she was like starting to annoy him and stuff.
Well,
And
I think I think really what that show was about, I didn't have any question about it because like I don't think he liked her this whole movie.
right,
And especially like since she had that situation with his friend and
yeah, with
coworker,
Dave,
he was like, "Oh man, this shit's crazy." But whenever he
yeah,
was at the car and she was giving him like
yes,
the things,
yeah.
the names, the
Was she
cities,
actually flirting with him?
yeah,
Really?
yeah, she was like, "We're gonna be spending a lot of time together."
Huh.
But it was like, well, okay, if the scene was through the perception of Jim, she's flirting with him. But if it, you
Okay.
know what I mean, like maybe in reality she wasn't,
Yeah.
but if it was through Jim's
He probably
perception,
thought that she was at least.
yeah,
And it did, which actually made me laugh. Was this part where whenever he was thinking about it, there was this funny moment where they had this close up on her mouth, like saying the same stuff that she
yeah,
was saying, which made me laugh
that's
really,
the
really hard. But I will be talking about her in a minute when we're going
okay.
to talk about the characters and Reese Witherspoon. But like, um, uh, but shit, I almost
I'll
lost my
say
train of thought.
like
Go ahead.
the reason why his mind went to her
Mm-hmm.
is because just like in American Beauty as well, like this guy was at a point in his life that was really boring,
Mm-hmm.
and there's this girl that had already had sex in a relationship with his coworker, and to his point of view, yeah,
Okay. I thought you were talking about American Beauty for a second. I was like,
no, it's like in American Beauty
okay,
because his
all right,
brain was doing the same shit where he started fantasizing about these things,
yeah.
and his this girl seemed like she was flirting with him and stuff, and so for someone who's like really sad, bored, lonely, getting older, his brain put in that fantasy of like, well, maybe you could have, you could get with someone young and attractive. And so that's why I didn't have any quarrels with it, is because I felt like it made sense. Like, obviously, he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't want to have sex with her because he thinks it's a
Okay,
bad thing to do.
right.
But his brain is still like, come on, man. You could do it. It could be fun.
Just
Like,
because he's bored with his life.
yeah, and sad. And,
Well, I wonder if like maybe when Dave was talking about her, maybe that made him a little curious or something. Well, maybe
probably.
not at that time, but maybe thinking back on it.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah,
there was a lot of stuff going through his head about all this.
yeah, um, yeah,
But he had some quarrels with it, but he decided to cheat on his wife with an adult his age and not
yeah.
a fucking 16, 17.
Was not a lot better, but
I mean, well, I'd say it's a lot better, but it's not good for
at
sure.
least you don't get arrested.
Yeah, and at least you don't traumatize a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
But But yeah,
Yeah. So all right, so what should we talk about?
I felt like you had some scenes that you want to talk about, or some people and stuff.
Yeah, all right, so let's see here. Okay, so maybe I'll start with characters and performances as well. Um all right. I'll save Tracy for last because I do have more things to say about her. But so yeah, Tammy, I like you, I liked her quite a bit. I thought she was really cool, really funny and stuff. She's just and yeah, just yeah,
She knew
really
what she
cool
was about.
character.
It's dope.
Right, right. Um and I yeah, rest in peace to Jessica
Yeah.
Campbell again, but I thought she nailed it too. She didn't do a whole lot of acting. Like aside from this and Freaks and Geeks, she only did like three other movies and one other show, and that was like
Hmm.
about it. She only, at least what I saw on her Wikipedia page, like she only did like six things, and yeah,
Hmm.
but yeah, I thought she was really good in this movie. Um, and uh, fucking what's his name? Klein, uh, who played Paul.
Oh yeah.
What was his first name
Is
again?
it Chris? I don't know.
Chris Klein. Yeah, I've only seen him in American Beauty before this, and I didn't really like him all that much in those movies. He
Uh,
was one of the cringiest characters I thought in those movies.
yeah.
Although he wasn't like he was not like I mean he wasn't like a bad person or like a or stuff like that. You know,
Hmm.
he was actually not a bad person. He was actually nice too. Like he was in this movie, kind of. But I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. But I, I didn't really like his performance in the movie too as much as I did in this. Like he kind of gave me weird impressions
Oh
in
yeah. Okay.
in those movies.
Gotcha.
And he had really weird hair. Well, he kind of had weird hair in this movie, but I thought he had
Yeah.
even weirder hair in the other one, in American Pie. And I remember the first time I saw him in that movie, I was like, "What the fuck is up with your hair, dude?
That was funny.
You need to shave it or something." It looked weird. The way it was combed and stuff was
Oh yeah.
weird. Um, but oh yeah, this came out the same year as American Pie as well.
Oh really?
Yeah. And what's funny is that this American Beauty and American Pie, the girl in American Beauty that Kevin Spacey was attracted to, she was also in American Pie, and she actually was actually ended up with Chris Klein's character
Oh
in
really?
American Pie. So yeah, it's a
Interesting.
weird connection, isn't that?
There is a connection.
Weird coincident,
Conspiracy theory.
coincidental. I don't even know if that's a word. Uh, but yeah, but yeah, I liked Paul too. I thought he was funny. Maybe the funniest character in the movie.
Yeah, he made me laugh.
Maybe him or honestly Tracy, and I'll talk about her too. But one of them too. I thought was the funniest character. But but yeah, I thought he was good in this. I liked him a lot better than in American Pie. And Matthew Broderick as Jim, which I hate Jim, honestly. I really did not like him in this movie. I thought he was a piece of shit, a loser, all that.
Did turd.
But a very well written character. I will say that.
Yeah.
And Matthew Broderick was really good in this film. Like honestly, no disrespect to Ferris Bueller, which I love that movie too, but I thought this was his best performance. I thought he was better in this than America or Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So yeah. Then again, he is older in this movie than
Played a very different character, dude.
very different, very
Yeah.
different. Like Ferris Bueller is like so confident in himself and all that.
Yeah, this guy is a weenie.
Yeah.
Real weenie.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I don't know if I hated him whenever I was first watching the movie. I don't think I was, but watching it this time, I was like, Jim is such a piece of shit. I can't stand him.
I I get that.
Yeah,
I think he's yeah,
yeah.
he sucks.
Another
He
I'll
sucks.
before I get to Tracy. Another character I hated was Lisa. Also,
Lisa was rude.
I did not like her either. She pissed me off
Well, I
too.
think she represents a certain type of person, like in high school
Yeah,
especially. Like I think they wrote a pretty good character, I
yeah.
think. But also she's kind of like absurdly evil. Like she just turned around and got with um Paul. I
Mm,
guess some people do that though. I don't know. Like the
yeah.
people are just into drama, I guess.
But
I don't
just the
know.
fact that, Tammy was madly in love with her and she, I understand if she's not, it doesn't feel the same,
Yeah.
but just the ways that she acted and she got
Yeah.
with with her brother,
Yeah, that's
it's
crazy.
like, fuck you,
Yeah, that's pretty messed up.
bitch. I mean, I don't like to use that word
The biatch.
to describe women, but, you know.
That time it was it was
Yeah.
like that was just really rude. Real rude.
Yeah. Yeah. And now, yeah, Tracy,
What's your opinion on Tracy?
Reese Witherspoon.
I feel like
Well,
you've been
okay,
holding it.
here's the, first of all, you didn't like her at all,
Well,
right?
well, I found her as annoying
Okay.
as probably Jim did.
Okay.
Like I think that her like people like Tracy, I don't hang out with because
Yeah.
she's like so self-important and doesn't see how things are more important than like success or getting everything you want.
Mm,
So yeah, I if I met someone like her, I wouldn't like be like, "Oh, I hate you, you're a loser." I would just steer clear because it's just like that's not. She wouldn't like me, I wouldn't like her. That kind of
mm,
thing.
mm. Yeah. And also you said what was it about her face, Reese Witherspoon's face, or
Oh
something
yeah,
that creeped you out.
well yeah, because she was like because and it's not like Reese Witherspoon's face really. It's just like the character she was playing was basically like
Okay.
this pouty child. Like if she didn't get her way, she was gonna be like,
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
and it was like, okay, like yeah, I would hate you. I
Yeah.
would hate to be around
I got that. I understand what you're saying,
you. Yeah.
but no, I actually really like Tracy because I mean, not okay. Okay, if I knew her in real life, then no, I wouldn't like her. But you know, for characters, it has to take a lot for even like dislikable characters. It has to take a lot for me to hate them. Like I'll say one thing: if they make me laugh, then I don't hate them.
Fair enough.
Like Randall and Clerks
Yeah.
and Walter Subchak and Big Lebowski, John Goodman's
Yep.
character.
Yep.
Like they're douchebags too. Well, I don't know if she's a douchebag. I mean, maybe in some ways,
Yeah.
but Randall and Walter were douchebags.
Definitely.
But yet I still love them because they were just hilarious, and plus the actors who portrayed them were great as
Yeah.
well. Um, but like I don't know, man. I actually found Tracy even funnier second time around. She reminds me of like kind of like an SNL character,
Yeah, she does.
like a weird SNL character that like maybe Amy Poehler would play or someone like
Yeah.
that. Which actually she kind of in some ways reminds me of Leslie Knope, Amy Poehler's character in Parks and Recreation. Like she
Yeah,
kind of
she's like a more selfish
yeah more
note.
selfish,
Yeah.
but which Leslie Knope is kind of pretty much like a female Michael Scott,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
Yeah.
because that show is kind of a lot like The
Selfish,
Office,
selfish, but
but
still full of love. You know?
yeah, but but no, I don't know. Just like some of her facial expressions and like her line deliveries made me laugh. There was that one scene where it was actually on election day. It was in the morning when that part when her and her mom was like passing out cupcakes and that her and her mom made. Jim comes in and she's like he's like He's like, "Hello, Mr. M. You look like you need a cupcake." And like he takes it and just walks off. And then there's that line where it made me laugh. Just I don't know. It was just funny. She's like, "What happened to your eye?"
Yeah,
And it kind of reminded me. She kind of sounded like Frances McDormand a little bit, like our character in Fargo,
oh yeah, yeah.
Margie. Like I don't know. It reminded me kind of like that. It was just funny to me. Like, and also that part, like we said earlier, whenever she was repeating what she was telling him in the whenever
Oh
he's in
yeah.
the car, but it had like her it was like close up on her mouth and just it just looked funny,
It was
just the way
yeah.
she
It was so it was odd.
yeah. But no, I don't know. She was just too funny and just uh and kind of cute too. For me to like to dislike her, and I don't know. And I'm not like a big Reese Witherspoon fan. I haven't really seen her in too much, but I remember in other stuff I've seen her in. Like I did watch. I remember in school I did watch a little bit of Legally Blonde, and I was like, I thought she was cringy in that movie.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah.
so yeah, but no, when I
That
saw
movie's dope. Actually, now that I think about
Legally Blonde,
it. Yeah, I
I
like
need
that
to
movie. I
watch that
like that
again.
movie. She's cool.
It's been years since I've seen
Shout
that.
out.
I mean, I think it's like I think it's got some really bad ideas in it, probably, but
Oh,
like like
I haven't seen it all the way through. I just remember watching some of it.
I
I
might
think
be thinking.
I think at that time I just like thought, oh, this is a chick flick. I hate chick flicks. Blah blah blah. Now there's actually some chick flicks that are pretty good. So
I think I might be thinking about a different one because a lot of them do this, but they were, especially that era, they were like kind of.
are you thinking about Mean Girls?
No,
Okay.
no, I was gonna say like that era kind of has a bunch of stuff about like gender roles and things, and sometimes they have some real backwards, like things like women should stay
Right.
and the kids. They kind of have that vibe sometimes. So I don't remember if it has that, but
Okay.
I could be wrong. But I remember there being at least some cool stuff in it.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my whole spiel.
Yeah.
Legally Blonde. I don't
Yeah.
remember it.
But I don't know. She was just too. I don't know. She was just too entertaining and all that for me to hate her as a character. Um,
I would be the guy
but
who stole that gum and said, "Eat me." Like that.
oh
I would have been
yeah,
that guy who like bothered her the whole movie.
yeah.
Probably.
But I do see what you're saying. She would be like
He's
annoying and
so
whatnot.
self-important. It's like, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, like just even the idea of someone running for student body president is kind of crazy to me. Like I would, it's just not something that I would do, and not something that any of the people that I hang out with would do. So it's like it just seems kind of nerdy.
yeah,
Nerdy.
yeah.
I don't know. It's not my thing.
Oh, okay. I do want to ask you. Where the stuff with I guess the stuff with her and Dave was pretty cringy for you.
Okay, so yeah, this was like a fucking shotgun blast. I was waiting to figure out what this movie was about, and I
Yeah,
was like,
and this was like right at the like 5 minutes in too.
I was on edge because I was like, what's gonna happen? I feel like there's gonna be something weird in this movie. And like it kind of sets the scene like, okay, there's this girl named Tracy who's kind of like a goody two shoes and really annoying about it. There's this guy Jim who's like a good guy, good teacher, but kind of sees her for what she is. And then it pans over to this fucking close up of a middle aged man saying, talking about Tracy, and it said her pussy is so wet, dude. And it was the grossest shit I've ever seen. And I was like, oh, like I
It was
cringed up.
it
I
was like
cringed up. I was like,
okay. So how I set it up
ugh.
yeah, the narration with Matthew Broderick with Jim. First he was talking about her, not about that stuff yet, just like I guess the stuff,
Yeah.
her being a goody two shoes and stuff.
Yeah.
And then he's like, here's another thing you should know about Tracy Flick. And then it pans over to that guy saying that.
Oh, it was so gross.
This-
It fucked me up.
Yeah, okay.
That part of it. I guess that's what I mean. Like this movie's weird because it's like not. It's like sort of weird and then sort of like it's your typical '90s movie. It's strange.
Well, I remember whenever he said that, your reaction was like, "What?"
Yeah, I know.
That was actually my reaction too when I
Fucking
first saw
scary.
that. I was like, what? Like,
So
because that
gross.
caught me off guard, you know?
Like I just yeah.
Yeah. But this time around, I actually just laughed.
Well, yeah,
I just thought it was funny.
it's insane and absurd. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Weird.
Like, kind of like when I first saw, like, American Beauty, like, some of that stuff kind of creeps me out at first. But now, every time I watch American Beauty, even at the creepy scenes, I actually think they're funny, honestly. I
Yeah.
actually do. Like, just Kevin Spacey's delivery and stuff. Just like some of the facial expressions he makes. It's actually pretty funny, which I know a lot of people would probably still think it's creepy because it's Kevin Spacey.
Because the real life
Yes,
stuff. Yeah.
but I tend to separate the art from the artist, and I do like Kevin Spacey as an actor. Which okay, all right, you know what? A little bit off subject, but the director of this movie, I should mention, Alexander Payne, who is a very good director. Uh, I've seen all of his films. Most of them are really good. But however, he's not a great person either. He actually was in a somewhat of a relationship with a 15-year-old Rose McGowan, the actress Rose McGowan, like in the late 80s or so, I think. And like,
It's rotten.
and she did accuse him of rape,
Well, I
and
mean-
he denied that part, but he did say that yeah, we did have a relationship.
So, yeah, I mean
But-
that's statutory. That's statutory rape.
Yeah.
As far
Okay.
as much as I know things, which I don't know a lot, but the grown man was having sex with the 15-year-old. So yeah, I think that's considered statutory rape, right? Like he's manipulating a kid to having sex with him.
Okay.
So that man,
Which is kind of which is okay. Now
that
that
fucks everything
hold
up.
on for a second. Okay, he did. Now, all right. Here's the thing. This was based on a book,
I know.
and mm, I'm
Whoa.
hoping that that was in the book. Then so that he didn't make up all of that stuff himself, but he did co-write the screenplay. But are you okay?
Whoa, dude. Okay, so he sees himself as fucking Jim, then, doesn't he?
Maybe.
I'm this moral guy who's going through it, bro. Going through it. I might have sex with a 17-year-old, man. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
going through it. That makes the whole her pussy was so wet so much more disgusting, doesn't it?
I mean,
That's
sure.
gross.
I'm sure, but
Dude, y'all, people need to start having sex with people their age, bro.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, as far as like,
At least if both of y'all are over 18 or 18 or over.
I mean, shit, bro. If you're 25, you need to have sex with like 22-year-olds and up. That's
Oh,
all I'm
yeah.
saying. That's all I'm saying. You can't. That's crazy.
What if you're 25 and you have sex with someone who's like older?
Oh, that's cool.
Okay,
Do your
then.
thing. Do your
Okay.
thing. But honestly, like, yeah, that shit's weird, bro.
Yeah. Well, okay. There's no pedophilia in Sideways, so you should be fine.
I'm not gonna change my rating just because I found out this dude is an asshole.
Okay.
But also like, damn, dude, this is like, it's always weird when,
Yeah.
because this movie obviously plays like the pedophilia stuff as a bad thing, obviously,
Yeah.
and it plays the dude who had sex, Dave, who had sex with the high schooler, as a sad guy who's a failure and a bedwetter, which is like used as an insult.
And
Right?
I was a bedwetter as a kid.
Me too. Me too. It runs in our family like crazy. Like all the boys in our family.
Just to be clear,
sure.
I'm not anymore. But
I am. No, I'm just kidding. But I will be once I turn like 70 probably, so it'll come back around.
okay.
Um but
I keep having nightmares and shit about if that ever does come back.
oh really? That shit sucks, yeah.
I'm scared about that,
I don't know why.
especially if I ever get married too.
Well,
anyways.
sometimes that happens from drinking too. Like it happens to people.
Oh,
They drink too much.
Anyways,
But yeah, that makes this movie a whole lot weirder, I think.
Sorry, I mentioned that then.
No, it's fine, but like I mean, it doesn't change my opinion on the movie.
I don't think
But
there's any other like pedophilia stuff in any of his other
well,
films. I don't
that's
think.
good. But damn, dude, how about people stop having sex with teenagers? That'd be
Yeah.
nice. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
But
I mean, that's pretty much all I
yeah,
gotta say
we're
about that, man.
already at an hour.
I know.
Jesus, like it feels like we still haven't talked about a whole lot of stuff. I feel like there's
I
more I wanted
mean,
to say.
I don't know. I think for me at least, I think the point of the movie is talking about morality and how it a lot of times it ends up being pretty gray.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
even
this is definitely our longest episode, by the way.
yeah, and even like Tammy had some gray morality, like when she was kissing on Lisa. Lisa was obviously not into it, told her
Right.
stop, and Tammy tried to kiss her again and got pushed away and stuff, and so like listen to people when they tell you stop because they don't want your lips on theirs. Um,
Yeah.
but that's sometimes it takes people a minute to figure that
Yeah.
out. but
Yeah.
but yeah, so I think I think this movie talking about morality, I think, is its strongest point, and it's the only reason why I
I did think of
enjoy
another
it.
thing, but yeah. Were you done?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, another thing I do want to ask you, what what did you think about the multiple narrations? From different characters.
that's a strong suit. I think it was good.
Yeah, I,
Yeah.
I gotta say though, I well, the only other movie I could think of that does that I didn't like that in was Casino, the Martin
Never,
Scorsese movie.
never watched
Right. Good. Don't.
It. Okay.
It's like 3 hours long, anyways, and it's
it. All
boring. There's only like one entertaining scene, and it's like at the end
right.
involving Joe Pesci,
Don't face it.
watching his son or brother or something get killed and buried.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
that's
Oh.
like the only good scene in that movie, at least in my opinion. I'm sorry, Casino lovers. I know there's a lot of people that love Casino. I wasn't a fan. That was the only scene I liked.
Fuck you.
But
Fuck
anyways,
you.
but yeah, that movie had a lot of the narration in it, and I did not like that. There was, of course, it started out with Robert De Niro narrating, and then it had some with Joe Pesci narrating. Maybe if it was just the two of them, then maybe that would be all right. But they had other characters too. Like okay, cause Goodfellas, mostly was narrated by Ray Liotta, but there was like couple of scenes that was narrated by I think her name Lorraine Bracco or something, who plays Henry's wife in the movie, and she narrated a few scenes, and that works. I thought that was actually pretty cool because it was like something that when you first watch it, you're not expecting that to happen for someone else to narrate a movie.
Yeah.
Um, but Casino, I don't know. It was a mess, just the way they did it, and plus the story wasn't interesting, at least to me. But no, I thought this movie did it very well. Actually, like surprisingly very well. It was mostly Jim, but
Yeah.
it did have, it had Tracy, it had Tammy and Paul. It had a few some stuff too, a few moments. And I thought it worked very well. Like I think mainly just because I think they were kind of more just like on the side. They weren't like as equal as Jim's narration because I think that's the problem I had with Casino. It wasn't like it was actually equally just like all over the place. Plus, there was like a lot of narration in that movie too. There was like
Yeah.
barely any. It felt like it was like it kind of felt like there was just like barely any scenes with actual dialogue, and it kind of just felt like there was more narration. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but just of what I remember, like the narration, there's just way too much of
Yeah.
it throughout the film, and this movie kind of doesn't. There's like some middle parts that kind of stop doing it for a little bit, you know. So that's probably good,
Yeah.
That's I don't know. I thought the narration was distracting in Casino, but not distracting in this. It worked for this one. I don't know how accurate. I mean, I never read the book that it's based on, but I don't know how accurate it is to the book. Um, I am kind of curious about the whole pedophilia stuff. If it was as equal as this
Yeah,
movie, I kind of want to know
I'm
because
sure it probably is.
yeah, but also maybe the narration too. I wonder if it was like that way also in the book. That'd
Oh
be
yeah,
cool.
probably.
That would be really cool. Um, but yeah, okay. I think that's just one other thing. Editing, I really enjoyed too. I thought it was very well edited, especially for a comedy. Like this might be the best, maybe some of the best editing I've ever seen in a comedy. Wes Anderson does editing pretty well too. Well, at least in his earlier films, the later films, it does kind of like it does feel a little. The pacing kind of feels a little rushed
Hmm.
in his later films. But I'm looking at you, Fantastic Mr. Fox, but and also Grand Budapest Hotel. But that was a good movie, so I'll give that a pass. but but yeah, I really liked the editing. There's even some movies, some comedies I do like. There's some of the editing's not great, but
Hmm.
but it was very good. And even cinematography, like some good shots, some really cool like looking shots that like kind of might be like Wes Anderson, even a little bit of Spike Lee
Hmm.
also.
Yeah,
That was
for
really
sure.
cool. Um, let's see what else. Oh my god. There was also a couple scenes which I thought was hilarious. It was like the scenes with Tracy whenever she would like stare at like Paul whenever he was running for president and like his posters. It would have this music that I
Yeah.
think might have been in maybe The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. I haven't seen that, so I'm not entirely sure, but it kind of sounds a little similar to the main theme of that,
Yeah.
that woo, ah.
Hmm.
But that music was like or
It's
something.
pretty visceral. It
It
sounds
was
like
pretty.
it's pretty scary music.
I thought I loved it. I thought
Yeah,
it
it was
was
pretty
hilarious.
funny.
Like I even forgot that it was even in the movie, but I liked it the first time I saw it too. This time I liked it even more.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I really liked that. What else? Was there anything else that you liked about this movie?
I think
Any
you
like scenes or
uh
jokes or
I
something?
think you kind of hit most of the points that I wanted to, like
Yeah.
about the music and the editing and stuff. Um, I think Tammy and Paul's dad made me laugh a lot. When
Oh
the dude who
yeah.
looked like George W. Bush was like freaking out on the couch. He was
Oh,
like getting onto her.
I barely remember. Oh yeah, I think it was just the way he talked
Yeah,
that
it was
made me
like it was
laugh.
ridiculous. He was like, and another thing. He just kept on like talking. That was probably my favorite scene with like a character outside of the main
Oh yeah.
cast. Yeah. But other than that, man, yeah, I mean, I think I said my piece on the flick.
Yeah. Okay. And it's getting long. I apologize about that. Oh, by the way, no pun intended on Flick.
Oh yeah,
Tracy
yeah,
Flick.
yeah. It's true. It's true.
But yeah. Okay. All right. I'm sorry if we missed anything. We just
Excuse me.
it's just the time is getting really long. So let's just close out
All
our
right.
give our ratings and stuff. Um, go
You want me
ahead.
to go first?
Yeah.
I think this movie is good, uh, and I think it is interesting, and it got me thinking, and I think that's great. But also, I think um, this movie was probably missing. It was missing something. It was missing something like
You said it could have been weirder.
could have been weirder. It could have been funnier.
Okay.
It felt like it didn't know what to be,
Yeah.
and so I don't think I'll watch this movie. I don't since I don't own the movie. I don't think I would ever watch this movie again in my life.
Happy birthday. No. I'm kidding.
But so I do think it's a good movie though. I think it's done well. Um, but again, I think it's missing something that would make me rewatch it.
Oh shit! This is
Um,
out.
So I'd say this is a 7. This is a 7 for me.
A 7.
Yeah, this is a 7.
Okay, I think you gave Pee Wee an 8.
I definitely like Pee Wee.
Okay. And I think Slacker as an 8 too.
Yeah,
Okay.
should be.
I give this a 9. That's what I gave it before. Sideways though is a 10. I think that's a even much better movie. Well, I mean it's different. Even the filmmaking aspect is different. It has good editing too, but not like I kind of think I don't know. I kind of think in terms of editing, I kind of like this better, but I like Sideways better. I think there's better humor in that movie, better characters. Also, there's some good drama in it as well. This one was mostly more as a comedy, I think. Kind of like I guess you can call this like a darker comedy, like an edgy, stuff like that. But yeah, I actually want to show you Sideways
I'd be
sometime.
down.
Yeah, I think hopefully you'll like that one. I love that movie. That's honestly one of my favorites. And but yeah, Election is a close second. That's my second favorite Alexander Payne film. If you've seen the ranking, um, but yeah, it's all right. That's 7 and 9. So all right,
79 years old.
all right. So okay, all right. First, before we end this video, I am gonna pause it real quick and discuss with Cade here about the next movie we're gonna do because I have I have an option that we could do, but I want to see if there's something he wants to do first. So, okay, I'm gonna pause it real quick. Be right back. Okay, so the next movie we are going to do will be Carrie 1976, directed by Brian De Palma. So this is going to be an interesting one, right, Cade?
Yes.
Because one of us likes the movie, and one, as of right now, one of us likes the movie, and one of them despises this movie.
Yeah.
With a passion.
Can you guess which one's which? I like this movie as far as I know. I watched it.
It's been years.
Once or twice as a kid,
right?
But yeah, it's been years.
It's been at least 2 years for me because I think I saw this twice in 2020. So it was before I know it was before I moved in. I first got my Blu-ray player in 2020 before I moved. So yeah, it was 2020. It's been 2 years since or almost 3. But yeah, and maybe my opinion will change. I doubt it,
or maybe mine.
Now
but I doubt it.
I hope so. Now will say there are some stuff I do like about the movie, so it's not like I don't think it's a complete piece of shit, but it's still a piece of shit. anyways, let's just wait till then. Yeah, this video is getting long. I apologize for that. I thank you very much for if you made it this far. Thank you.
And
very
you're a
much.
real one.
Yes. But anyways, so yeah, look out for Carrie coming sometime, hopefully soon. We'll see whenever this guy is free from working. But yeah. Anyway, so that does it for our review, the episode of Election. So thank you again for watching. If you made it this far, please like, subscribe, comment, and hit the bell. And we'll see you later. All right. Peace.